Ed Tonore can probably tell you more college football stories than you may know exist. Many of the stories live here in what he converted from a garage into his gridiron grotto, Tonore's personal museum of college football memorabilia. It's full of items, books, and pictures, like the autographed shot of LSU 1958 Heisman Trophy winner Billy Cannon. As an 8-year-old kid, Ed got to throw the football with Cannon one day, which made Cannon Ed's hero. 40 years later, Ed sees Cannon and decides to thank him for what he did.
I see him at an LSU meeting in Jackson, Mississippi, and I stood up and I'm choking, I'm getting a lump in my throat and I'm choking up, and I said, I just want to thank you for that day when you did that back then. And he looked at me and he looked at everybody in the audience and he said, man, I must be getting old when some old gray-haired dude gets up and says that he was a kid when I won the Heisman. Everybody laughs, and I'm like, all right, he's not my hero anymore. I have enough of that.
You could say Tonore holds his own place in college football history. It all starts with his dad, Edward Tonore Sr.
When I was a little kid on my father's knee, used to tell me about he and my uncles used to go to one game a year. They'd pick out the biggest game within driving distance in the country. And it might be in Dallas, it might be in Atlanta, it might be in New Orleans, wherever it was at. They didn't have tickets, they didn't have hotels, they just jump in the car and take off. And so I thought that was just so cool that they would just go on this adventure. So on the 20th anniversary of his passing away, I said, I'm gonna take it to another level. So I'm gonna go to the highest rated game in the whole United States every weekend, the entire year.
And that's exactly what Ed did during the 2017 college football season. 17 weeks of travel, most of it with his wife Jenny, buying tickets, attending tailgates, watching games, visiting campuses, finding great places to eat, but most of all, experiencing America in a way many Americans never will.
Some people said, well, you're following game day. And I said, no, they're following me. Because I'm going to say where I'm going on Saturday night. They don't say where they're going until Sunday or Monday. So if they show up where I'm at, they must have followed me.
Acting on his daughter's advice, Tonore starts a blog, giving weekly updates on the games, the places, the people, the incredible food. 35 people follow the blog the first week. By week 17, 5,000.
The most interesting thing about that is we found how many women were following the blog, which was very interesting.
There was actually more women following this football adventure, if you will, than men. Because we were writing about the sites in the area, the restaurants, signature dishes at the restaurants, the history and traditions of the school.
I mean, we were doing technically a field trip every weekend. The most influential thing I think I took away was everybody has a story.
The Tonores uncover so many stories each week that Ed writes a book about the greatest fall of all. At Fairhope's Page and Palette bookstore, it's a full house for Tonore's book signing. Ed pays tribute to Jenny, without whom he says the adventure would not have been possible. At a Pennsylvania bar, the Tonores make friends with Bill Cole, who manages high-end hotels and restaurants throughout the country. What the Tonores don't know is that Cole, a huge college football fan himself, is about to give them a new understanding of tailgate hospitality.
He ended up hosting us several times, and he met us at the Army-Navy game, and he met us...
His tailgate was the single best tailgate,
single best tailgate all year,
that we went to.
Bar none.
Usually we would go tailgate to tailgate to tailgate. We get to his tailgate first, and he's got tomahawk steaks that he's sliced up, and he's grilling right there, and puts demi-glaze on it. 5 pounds of lump crab meat that he saute in butter and wine. Kobe burgers, it was
The music and the sound at the tent was done by a Broadway friend of his that works on the set of Hamilton, and he comes on the weekends and sets up their tailgate.
So we said, what's the point in going to any other tailgate? We're just going to stay here. Every weekend was like the trip of a lifetime. And the people that we met, the things we saw, the the excitement at the ball games, the restaurants, the food, especially the people. That was the best part.
The people were incredible.
During their travels, people offer Ed and Jenny tickets at a discount and sometimes for free. But there were some snags. Case in point, the national championship game, Alabama at Georgia. Ed and Jenny get to the gate only to learn that their tickets are counterfeit. $1,200 down the drain. It's 90 minutes before kickoff. It's raining, it's windy, and it's cold. Ed and Jenny have to find real tickets, which they manage to do. But by the time they're seated inside Mercedes-Benz Stadium, Ed and Jenny have over $4,000 invested into tickets to that game, more than what they spent on tickets to all the other games combined. Tonore shares a story about his Pennsylvania friend Bill Cole with Fairhope Rotary members.
Anytime we go anywhere, this guy says, just let me know. If you want to stay at a Ritz-Carlton, you can stay there for $69. He says, if you have trouble getting into a restaurant, let me know. He says, I don't care where the restaurant is, I can get you in. So he gives me his credit, he gives me his business card. My wife says, make sure you don't lose that damn thing.
Ed says their travels teach them one lesson loud and clear.
Don't bother watching cable news, because if you do, it doesn't matter if you watch CNN or Fox, MSNBC, whatever. You think that our country is going to hell. And, we're here to tell you, we traveled all over the United States and we met all types of diversity of people, black, white, rich, poor, young, old. And everywhere we went, everybody received us with open arms. They wanted to feed us. They wanted to give us stuff to drink. They wanted to hear our story. They wanted to come, go to a ball game with us or come visit us down here in Fairhope, Alabama. What makes a country great are the people in the country. And this country has the greatest people on earth. So our country is still the greatest country in the world, and don't let anyone else try and steer you otherwise.
The Tonore say going to all these games was complicated, mentally and physically exhausting, and expensive. And while they have no interest in repeating the adventure, Ed and Jenny say they wouldn't trade their travels for anything, because it really was the greatest fall of all. I'm David Black.